Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome back to Kelly Reads Books. I was recently on a subscriber Zoom call with all the subscribers from Books and Jams, which is Krista's channel, and I mentioned that I had just started my own YouTube channel, or BookTube, and Krista graciously suggested that I look for the BookTube Newbie Tag and record my own BookTube Newbie Tag. So I've spent the last week probably looking at BookTube Newbie Tags and coming up with the questions and figuring out what I wanted to say. So without further ado, here is my BookTube Newbie Tag. The first question is, why did I start this channel? The easy answer is I love to read, and honestly, I don't have anywhere to share that passion. I have a lot of people around me who read, but they read 1 or 2 books a year, not 1 or 2 books a week, which is basically what I'm doing. And when I get done with a book, I just want to talk about it. I want to see what other people think about it. I want to put it out there. And yes, I'm on Fable and I'm on Goodreads, but I really want a place to be creative and to share that. And I have been so inspired by a number of BookTube content creators. I get really excited when I get a pop-up. I've got bells on for every one of my favorite creators. And when I get a notification that they posted a video, I'm on it. I can't wait to watch what they put out. And it's a lot of fun. I decided in my BookTube Newbie Tag, I want to mention the 8 or 9, 10 creators that really have inspired me to do this and start my own BookTube channel. And of course, I start with Krista from Books and Jams. I love watching her videos. Carly from the Pastel Bookshelf, My Messy Bookshelf, Sue Jackson, who is running the Big Book Summer Challenge, Rhonda Holden, Books Are Sick, Coffee, Cookies, and Books, the channel Bookables, and then I love Ashlyn Kaylee and Ian, I think his last name is Jubelli. They're a husband-wife team, and they each have their own BookTube channel, so that's kind of neat. Those people have really inspired me to take a leap of faith and start my own channel. Question number 2 is, what can I bring to YouTube? And the funny thing is, as I went through all the BookTube Newbie Tags that I watched in the past week, everyone had a hard time answering this question. And I think it's simply, I don't know what I bring yet. I'm so new at this, and just trying to record a video and edit it, it's hard to think of what I bring yet. I don't think I've done well enough to bring a whole lot at this point, but I hope to in the future. The third question is, what am I most excited about? And this is funny. I love TBR jar videos. In fact, I got so excited watching TBR jar videos that I went out and bought myself a TBR jar. And I bought some prompts and I made up some prompts and I started doing 2 TBR jar polls every month. Problem is, it's not real exciting when you're not putting it out there and there's no one to share it with and there's no one to hold you accountable. Because I know I've had some months that I picked out books to read and then didn't read them, and who would know? Because nobody knew about my TBR jar. Now I have a way to keep me accountable. The other thing that I'm really excited about is just being a part of the big BookTube community. I look at this different than any other channel or series of channels on YouTube. Other people are in competition for getting subscribers. I don't think BookTube content creators are. I think it's a community. Everybody wants to help everybody. People subscribe to other channels to help them. I know I look for channels that don't have a lot of subscribers, and I subscribe. I'm hoping that they really take off and that their videos get put out to more people. And of course, I hope people do that for me, but there's really a community here, and I want to be a part of that. I want to have a group of people that like to read and possibly someday a book club. That's getting way ahead of myself, but that's what I'm excited about. The fourth question is, why do I love reading? And that's easy. Once you open the cover, you have stepped into another world. It doesn't matter if it's a family story or it's a sci-fi, fantasy, thriller, whatever it is, you have opened a book. You've stepped into that world, to those characters, to that plot. And I love to read because it just takes me away from the day-to-day. It's something that I can immerse myself in and lose myself in, to the point where my husband will walk in and he's talking and I'm so in the book that I think he's on the phone or something. He has to say, hey, I'm talking to you. I just love to read. Number 5, what book or series got me into reading? I think I have to go way back to the beginning. I love to read because my mother instilled in me a love of reading. When I was pregnant, my mother came in one time and I was reading a book out loud to my belly. And my mother said, I did that when you were little. I read to you when you were in the womb. And I think I've always loved to read. I think since the time I could read sight words, I was reading books. I know if I go all the way back, it's Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat, Hop on Pop, all the different books. I remember growing up reading Little House on the Prairie books. I'm telling my age. I'm 60. I'll be 61 on Sunday the 26th. So I don't know where time goes, but I have that older perspective, I guess. And also, I think a big book that gave me a love of reading was Gone with the Wind. I think I was maybe 13 or 14 when I read that book. And when you're that age and you read a book of that size, it makes sure you're not intimidated to pick anything up. Of course, I can't say that because I was intimidated to pick up Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove this summer. But I did, and I read it, and it was fabulous. But I think after reading Gone with the Wind, it just instilled in me that all books had, whatever size they were, it didn't intimidate me. Question number 6. What question would you ask your favorite booktubers? At this point in the game, I think I'd be saying, can you give me some technical help? I'm not completely technologically awful, but I'm not so technically savvy that I've got it figured out, put it that way. I've been able to put 3 stars on my videos. I've been able to put an end tag on my video, but there's so much that I don't know and so much I need to learn. So I think if I had an opportunity, I'd be asking them, how do you do that about some of their videos? Secondly, and I'm tagging all of the content creators that I mentioned. So I'll say this, if you're watching, if you could put your favorite, maybe top 5 books in the comments, that would give me so much to read. There is nothing like taking someone that you love to watch and that reads similar to you, finding their 5-star book and devouring it, because it is that good. So that would be my second question. First about technical stuff, and then my second question would definitely be, what are your top 5 books? Question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a YouTube channel will be hardest to overcome? 2 things. I'm recording on my iPhone and I'm looking at the camera and it really throws me off. I've got to get used to that. I don't have a problem with public speaking. I'm not really afraid of recording, but I've got to get used to talking to my phone. And secondly, the biggest challenge is going to be the technical stuff. I edited a couple of my videos. I'm hoping to do this one in one take and not have a lot of editing to do, but editing is definitely something I need to work at, and learning more about the software and how to do things on my videos. And there's my buddy. Come say hi, Max. This is my reading partner. He goes everywhere I go. This is Max. You've made an appearance in my videos before. Yeah, you're a good boy. He always distracts me when I'm recording, but this time I'll just introduce him. So those are the challenges, technical and getting used to talking to myself, I guess, until I realize that there are more people out there. Number 8, when did you start reading? This is easy. Like I said, my mother read to me when I was in the womb. I remember Saturdays were such a fun day because it was always a trip to the library. I had my own little reading bag my mother had sewn for me, and she always said I'd go to the library, pick out 20 or 30 books, check them all out, have some of them read before I even got home, and then be reading the whole day and into the next day. And she said half the time you had all the books read by Sunday. And she said when I started doing chapter books, it took me a little longer, but she said you'd have those read by Tuesday. She said you were always begging to go back to the library. So my love of reading started when I was small. Question number 9, where do I read? This is one of my favorite locations, right here on the couch in the living room. I read anywhere. I didn't get an e-reader for quite a while because I considered myself a purist. And I loved the feel of books, the smell of books, getting a new book. But I was reading Lonesome Dove this summer and carrying that chunky book with me everywhere I went, because I never like to be where I have to wait and I don't have a book to read. So that was in my purse everywhere I went. And I finally broke down and bought an e-reader, and I'm still buying books. I choose what I read on Kindle and what I read physically. And there have been some things I read on Kindle that I want a trophy copy, so I go ahead and buy the book. But where I like to read, I love to read in my bedroom. I love to curl up with a good book, get under the covers. I've got a little stand that I can put my books on, and I just sit there and read, and it's wonderful. I light a candle, I put on some ambient music, and I'm in my element. But I read everywhere. Question number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? I think I started out with mostly literary fiction, and then I really got into romance, and it has to be a certain type of romance though, and I really look at recommendations because I don't want anything really cheesy. It's got to be a good story. And then honestly, as I get older, I don't want a whole lot of spice in it. So I really have to look at the recommendations when I read a romance book. I also like historical fiction and love Kristen Hanna. And then I am just dipping my toe into thrillers. A lot of those suggestions have been from the Pastel Bookshelf. I love a police procedural thriller. I read The Silent Patient. I thought that was great. I read 2 books by Joe Callahan that are police procedural thrillers, In the Blink of an Eye and Leave No Trace. And there's 2 more books in that series that I can't wait to get to. So that's kind of my genres. I dipped my toe in fantasy with the book Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. It was good. It just was so different. I thought it was a good book. No complaints. I don't know if fantasy is my thing. So I would ask you, if you have a sci-fi or a fantasy 5-star read that you think I should read, please put it in the comments. I love those recommendations, and I want to read different genres and just increase what I read and the different things that I read. The last question is, what does my collection look like? You see me sitting on the couch. Part of the reason I'm out here and not in front of a bookshelf like everybody else is, I have books on a little shelf at the end of the hallway. I have books all around my bedroom. I have a TBR cart over here with some 70 books on it. They're not all on it, but some of them are down the hall. I have a bookshelf by the back door, a little bookshelf, and there's books there. I have books in my office. I have books at work. I have books everywhere. And so what I'm going to do, this has been like a focal wall, which is things I've collected over the years, and I've got a little table with pictures and things on it. I'm going to replace that with 2 bookshelves. And I'm going to get all my books in one place, and I hope 2 bookshelves are enough. But I think they will be. But that'll be in a future video when I set up my bookshelves and show you how they look when I get everything together. So that's it. All 11 questions. My whole BookTube Newbie Tag. I want to thank you for being here. If you've made it this far, please leave me a purple heart. I'm a big purple lover, all things purple. So leave me a purple heart. And if you have recommendations for any books, please leave them in the comments. I love to get a good book recommendation. Come back, and we'll see you next time on Kelly Reads Books.
Bye.